To help us all wait for the new season of Ninjago Dragons Rising, I thought it would be a good idea for the start of this channel to look back at Ninjago's first season. Not the pilots, that was not a season. I'm talking about Season 1 of Ninjago, Rise of the Snakes, which followed the pilots, which were decent.
Father would not want you to do this, brother.
I liked Season 1 when I was 11 and I still like it now that I'm 22, though it definitely has some issues. Who I especially liked was Pythor. Pythor was the main villain of the season and has become an iconic villain for Ninjago throughout the years, though we do not acknowledge what happened to him in Crystallize. Pythor's objective was to bring back the Great Devourer, in his words to have his revenge on the people of Ninjago for imprisoning the Serpentine. It would not be explained in this season why all the Serpentine were locked on the ground forever. This happens in Season 4. In Season 4 we learn about the Serpentine Wars, which took place approximately 40 years prior to the current timeline. The Serpentine Wars was a result of mainly two things. One is that of the prophecy of the Golden Master, which is explained in Season 3. The Serpentine were foretold a prophecy of a Golden Master that would put Ninjago under his tyrannical rule. When they told the people of Ninjago, the people turned against the Serpentine. Another reason, the main reason, is Chen. Chen is the villain of Season 4 and he convinced the Serpentine tribes, who were fighting amongst themselves, that the humans would soon wage war against them. This prompted the Serpentine to unite under Anaconda rule of Arcturus. And he then initiated the fight against humans, which started the Serpentine Wars. The people of Ninjago, led by the alliance of elemental masters, first had a lot of trouble with fighting the Serpentine. While they were able to fight the Constricti, the Venomari, the Vampire and the Hypnobrai, the Anaconda proved too difficult. They were masters in the battlefield, as Garmadon said himself. Though eventually they managed to defeat the Serpentine with the help of sacred fruits. Following the defeat of the Serpentine Wars ended. Now this is where things get a bit weird. The elemental masters are supposed to be the good guys in the story, but the punishment they gave to the Serpentine, and especially the results of that punishment, are pretty brutal. First of all, the Serpentine were imprisoned. Now we barely see any children among the Serpentine. The first Serpentine child we see is in Season 3, which is the son of Skills. But it is very unlikely that children and other innocents didn't exist among the Serpentine at the time of their imprisonment. Therefore, we can only conclude that innocents were also punished for the actions of others when the Elemental Masters imprisoned all of the Serpentine in 5 tombs. Therefore, we can only conclude that the Elemental Masters are guilty of collective punishments and therefore of war crimes. But that isn't even the worst crime. In Season 1, Lloyd, after unsuccessfully getting the Hypnobrai or Vampire to follow his lead, goes and frees the strongest Serpentine tribe of them all, the Anaconda. But he did not find an army. All he found were bones and one sole survivor, our antagonist Pythor, the only remaining Anaconda. All the rest of them starved to death. Now you might argue that there are more Anaconda out there who weren't imprisoned. However, in Season 4, Chen, who was in need of the essence of a true Anaconda, in frustration exclaims that there are no Anaconda left, except of course Pythor. This becomes an important plot point for the season, further driving the point that the Anaconda are gone, besides Pythor. This means one thing. The actions of the Elemental Masters directly led to the genocide of the Anaconda. It is genocide because the Elemental Masters intended to imprison the Anaconda in the desert, and could have reasonably known that this would starve the Anaconda to death. This massive crime is never properly addressed in the show, and I personally haven't seen it be discussed in the community. There are discussions about the horrible things Sane did as the Ice Emperor towards, for example, Craig's family, but not about this, as far as I've seen at least. What I want to point out with this video is to highlight how the actions of the Elemental Masters against all of the Anaconda were wrong and cannot be justified. I think it would be interesting to, in any form, address this genocide of the Anaconda and for the ninja to learn from the mistakes of their ancestors. In conclusion, Lloyd was right to free the Serpentine from their unjust eternal punishment. Now I want to end this video by making clear that I do not mean to make light of the things I've discussed in this video. I think it's just interesting and weird that a very clear genocide is never really discussed. And because it was never discussed, I thought that then I'll do it.